I have 2 weeks to get away from my husband. Throwaway account as my husband and in-laws are follow my main. I, 29F, have been married to my husband, 30M, who I'll call Alex. Alex and I met in college during our freshman year. We started off as just friends and got married 7 months ago. I've gotten along with his family, but we aren't super close, but we're friendly enough. The problem is that Alex has begun to make me incredibly uncomfortable. Firstly, he's begun to ask me who I'm meeting with, where, what we plan on doing, how long every single time I leave the house without him. At first I just thought he was being protective and a good partner just in case something happened. But then he started checking my phone after the visits, vetting and researching each of my friends as well. He also has been pursuing me to link my bank account to his, as he's in charge of the finances when he was perfectly fine with keeping them separate before. We fight about it almost every day. Finally, yesterday when he was preparing to go on a work trip for 2 weeks in California, he demanded I wear a tracker so he could keep an eye on me while he's gone. I can't do this anymore. I feel like I'm suffocating, and his family, who I've spoken to about his worrying behavior, just said he's being careful and protective as a good husband should. I need to gather my things together and find a way to be gone before he gets home without tipping him off. He's always threatened that if he ever found me cheating on him, he'd turn in divorce papers the same day. He keeps a filled out copy in his desk. I'm going to submit those the day I leave. But there's so much to do: Bergen, finding a new place to live, seeing if my job has any transfers available, packing and moving in 2 weeks. His return flight May 11th, so I need to move quickly. I'm posting here because I don't have any close family, and I can't risk dragging my friends into this as we share the same friends. I just needed a place to vent and ask if anyone has any advice on the easiest and safest way to do this. Update 1. So I've gotten a lot of support and helpful advice along with questions I thought I should clarify before I proceed with the update. Some asked why I'd be hiding things from Alex regarding going out and who I'm meeting with. I don't, and I have nothing to hide. However, when he begins to then double check everything I tell him with the other people there, right down to each person I talked to and what I said. Did I send any text MSGs? Did I order food? How much did I eat? That's when it started to feel like I was slowly being pushed into a corner. It didn't start that bad, but gradually grew worse over time. All of the Reddit subs my in-laws' families are part of are related gardening and DIY, so I highly doubt they'll see this. If so, by the time they do, I'll hopefully be gone. I talked to my job and explained things to my manager. And they promised to look into openings in other states to see if they could get me into one. They'll have an update on that in 3 days. I trust that my bank account is secured, considering he's tried to get into it before and failed. I found one camera in the kitchen, another in the living room, and one in our bedroom. As such, I've left them in place for now and done all other planning, either in the bathroom pretending I'm taking a bath. I'm honestly staying away from the domestic violence services as my sister-in-law is unfortunately higher up in those, considering she volunteers there, and I have a feeling if I did show up there, they would know in a heartbeat. I can't look for apartments until I get the update from my work, but either or I'm still going to be leaving the state. The day before I do, I will be changing my number carrier and wiping my laptop and all of his electronics before I do. I've met with 2 lawyers so far and had them look over the paperwork. My husband had prepared, and both said that it didn't have some clauses in it. That could have caused me some trouble down the line. What alarmed all of us closed the fact that several of those clauses dealt with future children, and not as a hypothetical. Like several here suggested, I have a feeling he fully intended on getting me pregnant to keep me trapped and tied to him. There are 3 other locations my job could send me to, and I have, as a precaution, begun looking into all 3 cities and housing in the areas. Just in case one of those, this is the one they send me to. Even if they don't have an opening that they can push me into, then I will just have to quit, move and figure things out on my own. I have enough money to live and survive for a few months until I can pick up another job. Unfortunately, all of our friends are mutuals and would likely be unaware of the consequences of saying or sharing anything I do or say with my husband. I don't have any surviving close family, and obviously my in-laws are not a good resource to rely on. I am on my own, unfortunately, other than the wonderful bonds I've begun to make here. I will update again if I get more information or something else happens. Otherwise, I'll update when my work gets back to me. I do plan on leaving before he returns though, just to make sure that I'm not anywhere near here at that time. Update 2, good news. My work has an opening I qualify for that will not only shift me across the country, but also comes with a salary increase as well. I've started telling my in-laws and friends that I'm planning a surprise outing for when my husband gets back for just the 2 of us. This way, people don't give me odd looks if they see me out and about. I've even gone as far as asking Mill to show me his favorite recipes. Meanwhile, I've found a moving company that, while small, is willing to work in a storm. The reason is in 5 days, we're supposed to get hit with a large storm front. I plan to shut off the breaker and say we lost power if he asks, just as several people here suggested, and even send him a short clip of the storm. I will have all of my stuff moved that afternoon, and I will be flying out once the weather has cleared enough to do so. I have a lawyer who will push my divorce through, and I've filled out the necessary paperwork so that I don't have to be here for it. I'm not suing for assets or alimony, and I've shredded his divorce papers as well. I've set up a cheap payphone plan through Cricket until this is all said and done, at which point I will find a new carrier, number and phone. This one is being wiped and left behind. My laptop is provided by my work, and the IT department inspected it thoroughly and it was clean, thankfully. No other electronic aside from my laptop and new phone will be coming with me. If Alex needs to talk to me, he can do it through my lawyer. Not sure if anything else will happen. My fingers are crossed that he doesn't think anything's amiss until after I leave. And I'm not turning the breaker back on when I do. He can when he gets home. My work is covering the plane ticket, so that at least is one expense I don't have to finagle in. Update 3. It's been a busy week, but I've gotten so much done. Firstly, I am now out of the house and am currently in a hotel while I look for an apartment. It's a big city, bustling with people no matter where you look. We had a pretty bad storm system hit back home, that actually lasted 2 days. High winds, thunder, lightning and even hail everywhere. I didn't take much from the house, my documents, clothes and important sentimental items. I left all of the furniture and electronics behind. I cleaned the house top to bottom and took pictures on my phone so he couldn't claim I damaged anything when I left. My lawyer has already started divorce proceedings and my husband will be served on the 8th. His plane is due to land early morning, and the sheriff will be there at the house waiting for him. He is very much about public appearances and reputation. My lawyer will be calling him as well to inform him that I am more than willing to air out everything to the public about his actions if it means securing my freedom from him. I will go to court as long as I must to get this pushed through. I haven't told our friends or his in-laws yet. I will do that while he is on the flight to prevent him from getting wind of it before he's handed the divorce papers. I will be calling around and explaining why we're getting divorced, to try and prevent him from twisting this into somehow being my fault. I don't want him trying to claim I had an affair or something. So I want to get the truth out before he can twist this. I'm doing okay. I'm tired, but yet I feel almost jittery and off-kilter. I keep looking over my shoulder and monitoring what I say even when I don't really need to anymore. Hopefully that will fade soon. My work is covering the cost of the hotel, and I'm working on getting my other things in order. I also need to find a new GP as I want to get a full test just to make sure everything is okay. I don't know when my next update will be. Probably when the divorce papers are filed or if we have to go to court to push them through. I will try to keep my head up, but it feels like I'm in a whirlwind or something with so many things to do and think about. I kinda thought it would be easier once I got out of the house, but while the fear is smaller, somehow the number of tasks only seems to have grown. Update 4. Sorry I haven't updated for a while, things got hectic and a bit chaotic honestly. Firstly, I'm working on getting an apartment still and have applications in at 3 different places and will hopefully hear back from them soon. I'm still going into work here at the new location, so I don't have to worry about burning through my emergency savings completely. I've gotten a lot of emails from Alex, his family and our old friend group asking question after question. I have only sent one return email to Alex, explaining that I don't believe we are truly compatible and it is best we separate now. That his treatment of me when I'd done nothing to deserve as such was just as much of a deal breaker as cheating was for him. I ended the email with the statement that I would not be contacting him further and anything else he needed to pass on to me or vice versa would be done through my lawyer. For his family and friends, I just typed up one email outlining everything that had happened and why I left. I told them I wished them no ill will, but that such treatment of his wife and partner was not acceptable. That should Alex get remarried in the future, I wish they would help support both partners and not just Alex. Alex, from what my lawyer told me, was livid when he was served. The sheriff actually ended up booking him for assault on an officer and menacing due to the threats he was shouting. His father bailed him out in a few hours, but with the testimony of the sheriff, my lawyer believes I have a very good chance at getting a restraining order. Alex, upon returning to the house, apparently lost his temper again, breaking the dining table into pieces as well as the TV, and putting several holes in the walls. At least that's what one of the emails from one of our friends reported as Alex called him to help him clean up the mess. My lawyer already has pictures of the house I took, with timestamps as evidence nothing had been damaged by me. My friend reported that Alex tried to claim I'd been the one to trash the house, but the holes in the wall were at head height. Alex is 6'3". And I'm 5'4" inches, so he knew that was false. Either way, taking the pictures definitely will help me, so again. Thank you everyone here for the advice because I never would have thought of that on my own. My work won't share details of where I am, as I do work with some higher-end clientele who value security and that information won't be gossiped about, and no, I'm not some stripper or escort. I deal with contracts, notary and business management. As such, even if Alex tried to use my work to find me, he wouldn't succeed. Update 5. It's been a little bit, and I thought I'd answer some questions before giving my update. It may be a while after this until things change. Firstly, no, I didn't bring my car. The public transport here is good enough to use without needing one. I have secured an apartment, and the building has good security. You need a keycard to enter, and there is a security guard at a desk right by the entrance to the building. As part of my contract, I gave them a photo of Alex and his family so that even in the off chance they do find me, they won't be let in. The responses I got from the emails varied. His family said I was overreacting, and that I owe Alex an apology for the problems this has caused him. The pending criminal charges puts him at risk of losing his job if he's convicted. Alex sent a long email, apologizing and pleading for me to come home. He said he was worried for me, that he is willing to go to therapy if it will appease me. He wants us to remain together, and he didn't think leaving was an appropriate response to his genuine concern and worry for my health and safety. The friends gave somewhat lacking replies, saying that they didn't think Alex was ever going to hurt me and that I shouldn't be letting my imagination run away wild. As much as I want to say I was surprised by the lack of support, I'm honestly not. He intends to fight the divorce. I am letting my lawyer handle it, and I am also pursuing a protective order as well. Once I got approved for my apartment, I also froze my credit. I've changed my phone carrier and number, as well as making sure none of my documents list Alex as next of kin or POA. Some have asked why I was so paranoid about Alex and his possible future actions. The answer for that actually is somewhat simple. My grandmother. I love that woman to bits. As a teen, she explained why my grandfather was never around. He was extremely abusive and manipulative, and her generation didn't allow divorce really. She wouldn't have been able to buy a house or get a good enough job to support her and my mother on her own. As such, she endured it, shielded my mom as she could until my grandfather died. When I felt like I may have been overreacting, I remembered how she'd said she'd always wished she'd been able to see grandfather for what he was early on when she may have been able to annul the marriage. I don't know when I'll update again, maybe when the divorce goes through or if something big happens, but until then, I'm just trying to keep my head above the water. Update 6. It's been a month since my previous update, and I wanted to share some of what's been going on in the meantime. The divorce is proceeding, but even though I don't need him to agree, and he's not, it means I have to go through the courts to get it approved. As such, it could be upwards of 6 months to push it through even though I'm filing without attempting to claim property, alimony or compensation. I just want a clean break and separation. Alex has attempted to use our friends to reach out to me, as he doesn't want to use my lawyer for communication. He's saying it's disrespectful and cowardly to hide behind my lawyer and not meet him face to face. Alex wrote me a letter that he did pass off to my lawyer, but the contents were him justifying his actions and claiming that in today's time it is dangerous for women to be on their own, which is why he was so intent on trying to keep me safe from harm. He wanted me to understand that he was trying to protect me as best he could and was hurt that I would just lie to him and hide my actions from him related to my dissatisfaction with our marriage and my moving. I didn't reply, because at no point did he apologize. All he did was turn everything around on me as I was being overly dramatic, emotional and cowardly. There was a second letter with Alex's from my Sil. Her letter was honestly disturbing and completely justified my misgivings regarding approaching her in any kind of professional capacity. She spent 5 paragraphs detailing how Ariel abusive relationship looked like and that Alex was the furthest thing from abusive. The details she included were all related to financial abuse and physical abuse. Nothing like what Alex had been doing. She stated that my attempts to smear her brother's name for attention and clout made me the abuser, not him. I haven't really been able to process that, admittedly. Part of me can't help but wonder if she's right. I mean, I blindsided him by leaving as I did and am refusing to speak with him at all. My old boss recommended that I look into getting into therapy after I moved, and I think I need to. I have had a hard time adjusting to being on my own. I keep censoring myself and haven't even gone out to eat yet. I always end up worrying about what if someone sees me, what if I get in trouble for spending my money on something frivolous. My lawyer is continuing to fight for the divorce, and I shouldn't need to be physically present in court. Any meetings needed between me and the judge can be done via Zoom. I'm trying to avoid confrontation with Alex and his family for now as much as I can and passed both letters to my lawyer in case he needs them. Our friends are mostly trying to avoid taking sides still, and I'm honestly approaching the point of just letting them go as well. I'm tired of fighting for them to understand at this point. I don't know if anything is going to happen, so my next update may not be until around mid-November, depending on how long it takes to push the divorce through. Work is going well, and it's helpful to have something familiar to anchor my day-to-day life when so much has changed and is changing even now. Update 7. It's been a while since I last updated, as I needed to let the court step in as Alex was not willing to grant my request for a divorce. We started with mediated session via Zoom, but after 4 sessions it was decided that no compromise could be reached between us. The things Alex was pushing for were ones I'm not even willing to humor, let alone agree to. He wanted me to tell our friends and those I'd sent the information to about his actions that I'd made it up in order to gain sympathy. He also wanted me to pay him for defamation and suffering, especially the wages he lost because of sitting in jail for 2 days and missing work before getting bailed out. Lastly, he also wanted me to return and, to quote him, stop my foolish behavior and act like a proper wife and partner. Yeah, no. So, needless to say, our mediated sessions went absolutely nowhere. The judge isn't seeming to buy into Alex's act, thankfully, because he certainly tried. It took me far too long to see Alex for who he was, and part of me feels like an idiot because I didn't see it at all. Yet, the judge seemed to clock him for exactly what he is within the first meeting. Maybe I just didn't want to see it. I don't know. Alex ended up arguing with the judge a lot, even being held in contempt 4 different times. I think it's honestly why this moved as quick as it did. It didn't help that Alex tried to pull in his family as character witnesses, but they were dismissed by the judge as the abuse wasn't seen or heard by them, and as such, they only knew part of Alex's character. In his closing statement after he approved the divorce, he went on to call Alex a narcissist and that if Alex loved himself so much to abuse the one he'd married to let the divorce happen and marry a mirror next. I didn't think a judge was allowed to say that. At all. But my lawyer just shook his head and told me not to say anything, so we left. So here's the update I'm sure everyone's been hoping for and guessed. I'm officially divorced. The documents were processed 3 days ago and I'm still in disbelief. I have no contact with Alex any longer, nor do I want any. I'm not going to give our friends my new contact information. I may not have replied to everyone, though I tried, but I did read all of your comments. I really did. Your repeated statements about how they weren't actually friends really helped me see that they weren't. So I decided that since I moved far from that place, I needed to start over. New home, new place, new friends. It's slow and I've started therapy, though it took almost 3 months to get it due to the usual wait times, but I've been going 3 times a week ever since. It's helping, even with things I thought were done and dusted. Alex didn't take the divorce well, according to my lawyer, who's been keeping up with him to make sure he stays away from me. He did something at work, I don't know what, as obviously I have no way to gain that information, but whatever it was cost him his job. My lawyer also did something I didn't expect him to, but something I think everyone will like. He took the letter my ex-Sil sent me and forwarded it to the domestic violence organization she works for, along with an informal statement regarding Alex, his actions, and the decision of the judge. She's been let go as well, and given how tight those organizations are with one another, my lawyer said that the likelihood of her getting a position at another is slim to none. I actually laughed, though I was a bit teary, when he said that, and that Slim is on a leaky rowboat to China. I've been crying a lot lately, but my therapist says it's normal and shows I'm actually processing things instead of bottling them up and pushing them down. I'll try to update in a month or so, if my emotions level out some, to explain a few more of the details, but I wanted to get this out there, and thank everyone for their continued support and encouragement. I appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. You gave me the hope that leaving him wasn't going to be this giant black mark I'd never heal from or move on from. Work is going well, and the sense of normality and routine is helping me avoid feeling like everything has been spiraling out of control.